Northeast Tonight, brought to you by Oil India Limited, conquering newer horizons. Coming up from the Northeast Live Studios in Guwahati, Northeast Tonight with Wasbir Hussain.
Hello and welcome to Northeast Tonight, the show that decodes the region. Once again, viewers, the Chinese have proved that they are in no hurry to improve relations with India. After escalating tensions with heavy troop mobilization along the 4,057-kilometer line of actual control in Ladakh and elsewhere, Beijing has now formally given the approval for diverting waters of the Brahmaputra, which they call Yarlung Changpo, and build the world's largest hydropower project. Yes, viewers, you heard it right. The Chinese Communist Party, at a recent Politburo meeting chaired by General Secretary and President Xi Jinping, gave the go-ahead for the South-North River Waters Diversion Project, of which the proposed dam at the Great Bend, just where the river enters India, is a part. The dam site is only about 40 kilometers from the border in the Arunachal Pradesh sector, and this is a matter of grave concern for us in India and also in neighboring Bhutan and Bangladesh. After all, the project plans to divert about 200 million cubic meters of water annually from the Brahmaputra to generate electricity and also take care of the water scarcity in China's arid northwest. The approval on the 30th of November means the Chinese have overcome their security concerns and now want to fulfill their dream of diverting the Brahmaputra waters and also build sort of a water bomb to use when needed, obviously against India. So how will India respond? Can we take this threat lightly? To discuss the highly sensitive national security issue, I am joined by an esteemed panel tonight. Joining me from New Delhi is Mr. Jayadeva Ranade, former Additional Secretary in the Cabinet Secretariat and a leading China expert. Also in New Delhi, I have Professor Swaran Singh from the Jawaharlal Nehru University, someone who always has a nuanced view of India-China affairs. I am joined from Itanagar by BJP MP Mr. Tapir Gao, and in Pasighat I have Congress MLA and former MP Mr. Ninong Ering, both very senior political leaders from Arunachal Pradesh who have been voicing their concerns on China's designs. All right, viewers, before we begin the discussions, let's listen in to what Arunachal Pradesh Chief Minister Pema Khandu had said earlier today on the Chinese plans to divert the Brahmaputra.
जहाँ तक ये डैम का जो मामला है, इसको लेके तो ऑलरेडी भारत सरकार का साथ में भी चर्चा हुआ है एंड गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया विल बी ऑल्सो टेकिंग इट अप. तो हमारा जो वाटर शेयरिंग जो पॉलिसी है उसके मुताबिक हमारा जो डाउन स्ट्रीम में जितने भी जो लोग हैं उनका राइट्स जो अप स्ट्रीम वाला ले जा नहीं सकता है. तो उसी आधार पर जो हमारा मिनिस्ट्री एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स है उस पॉइंट को रखेंगे. बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली आई डोंट थिंक दैट चाइना इज ए सिग्नेटरी ऑफ दैट पार्ट. चाइना मानेंगे कि नहीं मानेंगे ये हमें पता नहीं है, मगर हम लोगों को और से भी तो ये प्रयास होना चाहिए कि अपने यहाँ पे जो नदी बह रहा है उसका भी हम लोग को प्रयोग करना चाहिए ताकि हम लोग भी क्लेम कर सके उसका वाटर यूसेज का, फर्स्ट राइट ऑफ वाटर यूसेज का. तो हम लोगों को भी इसका भी हम लोग अपने भी एक बार हम लोग को भी चर्चा करना जरूरी समझता हूँ मैं.
All right, there the Arunachal Pradesh Chief Minister, the state nearest to the proposed dam that is being built by China, Pema Khandu, Arunachal Chief Minister, expressing his concern and says that it violates the right of water uses. It violates the rights of water uses and says that his government is taking up the matter with the central government in New Delhi. Welcome, gentlemen, to Northeast Tonight. Let me first go to you, Mr. Jayadeva Ranade, former Additional Secretary, Cabinet Secretariat, a top official of the RNAW, now a very, very well-known China expert. Mr. Ranade, you have written earlier this week, you have written a very comprehensive article. Your analysis, you have cautioned, you have exposed China's designs, you have given quite a lot of details on how the Chinese could even be using nuclear explosives to build the dam. It can be, how it can be a disaster for India, what kind of a threat. So do you think that the authorities in New Delhi should take note of all these concerns, and what are your initial thoughts now, Mr. Ranade?
Thank you for having me, Vasubir, on the show. I think it's a very important topic, and you've got a very informed panel here, particularly people from the Northeast. So I would also be interested in hearing what they say. As far as the government of India is concerned, they are certainly aware of what has been happening. It's been going on for some time, and we have raised it also at the highest level many years ago with the Chinese president when he had come on a visit here. But China seems to have been undeterred, and it has proceeded with developing its plans. For that, we can look at the 17 planned dams, of which I think 4 or 5 are either under construction or have been built in the upper reaches of the Brahmaputra. The Changmu is one which has come up, and there are more planned. But this particular project, as and when it goes through, mark my words, I'm not saying if, I'm saying as and when it goes through, it will lead to certainly, at the least, severe silting of the Brahmaputra, which will impact adversely on Bangladesh and to a lesser extent on us. But the series of dams that are going to be built will drastically reduce the flow of the Brahmaputra and lead to its own attendant problems. So I think it's a serious matter which we need to take up with the Chinese authorities, and possibly also with other countries which are affected by China's behavior as an upstream country, like the countries of the Mekong River, and later on maybe take it up at the international level also, an international forum.
All right, quite a comprehensive opening remark. Yes, you have exposed various dimensions of how the dam project being built at the Great Band by the Chinese could impact. Before going to Professor Swaran Singh, I want everyone to hear voices from the Northeast. Let me first go to Mr. Tapir Gao. Mr. Tapir Gao, if this frame could be improved a little bit. Mr. Tapir Gao, you know, the Chinese are building this largest hydroelectric power project, 200 billion cubic meters of water to be diverted annually, and the Chinese will be able to produce 300 billion kilowatt hour of clean, renewable and zero carbon electricity once the dam is built. What kind of a concern do you have? How do you view this? Because you are in Arunachal Pradesh, the state nearest to China where this dam project is being built, Mr. Tapir Gao.
See, this is a great concern for not only for the Northeast. This is a great concern for the whole of the country. And this is not a new subject that we are discussing today. China they are already planned many years ago, and the government of India also knows it, that China is going to have a big dam and they are going to divert the water to their Yellow River. So if the China is constructing this very big dam, then entire northeastern region, including Bangladesh, will be a dry zone in future. Environmentally, everything will be affected. So whether China has signed the water treaty, it doesn't matter, but we need to take up this matter with the China but I don't trust the China will agree upon it. The issue that I would like to highlight today is we have 4 major rivers that originate from China. Tibet, China is Luhit River, the Siang River, Subansiri River, and the Nyangzamsu River in Tawang. All these 4 major rivers, we need to construct our dam in our states and in any other place where it is feasible. So the first user of the river water is a global phenomena, and it's a global water treaty. So whether China agree or not, first Government of India need to construct dam on these 4 major rivers that originated from China, Tibet. So it's a great concern.
Okay.
So I would like to draw the attention of Government of India and the entire Northeast state should cooperate and work together and have a discussions with the Government of India to take up this matter very seriously.
Okay, BJP MP, very senior political leader in Arunachal Pradesh, Mr. Tapir Gao, he has advocated, he has said that India should immediately build dams, construct dams on all the 4 major rivers originating from China and flowing into Indian territory. He has named all the 4 rivers. So that is the suggestion by Mr. Tapir Gao, and he has also said that the Northeast should work together and place a common point of view before New Delhi. Mr. Ninong Ering, all of you, both of you represent the people of Arunachal Pradesh, the people who are who live right along the line of actual control or some kilometers behind the line of actual control. Now, do you think the people are also a worried lot today with every day there are new designs by the Chinese, whether it is transgression, whether it is military mobilization, and now it is the water issue. They are planning to control the waters flowing into India. So as a public leader expressing concern over the Chinese designs for so long, Mr. Ninong Ering, how do you view the situation now?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
That's good. Let me be very frank about the issue of the Brahmaputra, because I will focus only on Brahmaputra because this is the river which I've always advocating. When I was a member of parliament and also as a union minister also, I have raised this issue several times with the government, let it be the NDA government or let it be the UPA government. As you recently must have seen in the news that even, several villages have been located along the LAC. Now, why I am referring to that is, the construction of a dam will be kind of a construction of a water bomb. We already had the problems with the 4 dams which have been construction. You can see in the last 3-4 years, there's been a lot of siltation and, a lot of erosion along the Siang and also the Brahmaputra. A lot of, you can say, villages have been eroded in Mebo, Sigar, Raling, Namsing, Mer. So, you can see that the whole system, the ecology has been changed. The marine life has been destroyed. I've always raised this issue that the Chinese are, planning something big. So the government of India also has to take precautionary measures. Of course, the present chief minister's father, late father, Mr. Dorji Khanda, who was a very good friend of mine, had, proposed a lot of dams. Now, it is, I think it could be our fault, the people of Arunachal and also the people of Assam, like Akhil Gogoi ji, I would like to take his name because he has always objected to the construction of dams, let it be the Subansiri or the Siang. And I don't know if there is a, kind of a hidden agenda why this has been stopped. Now the construction of this big dam, which will be in just on the borders, that is near Bising, Gailing, it must be about 50 to 60 kilometers upstream. Now there are the dangerous gorges also. Now Yarlung Zangpo is the river which flows into the Siang and then to Brahmaputra. Here they are planning to make a tunnel. So the construction of the dam means that that means that the agenda they had the hidden agenda there is going to be now going to be practical. They will be digging a tunnel right into the Xinjiang area, the desert region of China, and this is the reason why they're constructing this dam. They are going to divert the river, and if we are not cautious, we must have the territorial integrity. We must have the the river agreement, because you will see if you go to the Myanmar side also or to Taiwan, you will see the Pekong River where the river flows there also. They are not agreeing to the international river laws, that the treaty. And India and China does not have a treaty, which is going to be a very big cumbersome and long process where we won't be able to claim.
Right. I think. Let me go to Professor Swaran Singh in New Delhi. Professor Swaran Singh, you have heard two important voices on the subject. These are two political leaders belonging to two different political parties. But as far as India's national security interest is concerned, as far as the interest of Northeast and Arunachal Pradesh is concerned, they are on the same page. And we in India also should be on the same page. And these are examples set by these two leaders from Arunachal Pradesh. Now, what is your opening remark? How seriously are you taking this development? And the Chinese dam will give Beijing almost a chokehold on India's economy. It will not be an exaggeration if we say that this is going to give the Chinese a chokehold on India's economy to that extent.
There is no doubt, Basveer, that given the fact that over 1 million people live in Brahmaputra basin, the local leaders will invariably be very, very alert to all the developments that could potentially create enormous challenges for livelihood, for ecology, for flora, fauna, and everything else. But let me look at the challenge, which is bigger than only impacting Arunachal Pradesh. And therefore, I think the entire region, not just India, has to be very alert to what is this new project the Chinese have. Despite China-India contentions on water sharing issues on Brahmaputra, Chinese have already built 4 such projects, and this is the 5th one. Now, what is different here is that this is being called the super dam.
Yeah.
According to what was reported from the chairman of China Power Construction Corporation in Global Times, this is going to be 3 times bigger hydropower project than the Three Gorges Dam. And Three Gorges Dam is already world's largest hydropower project. Now the size is something that should scare not just people in Arunachal Pradesh or in India, but perhaps in entire region, because this is being attempted now very adventurously in a region which seismologists have repeatedly underlined as very vulnerable and sensitive to earthquakes. And of course, ecologists have also mentioned how much damage the construction of last 4 dams have already done to the river basin in Tibet. And of course, add to that now the political contentions, the fact that Chinese are invariably not very transparent with what they want to do. I heard Ranade saying about a Changmu hydropower project, which had started in 2015. But even after that, the Chinese were not coming out with details. Even now, this project which we are discussing, Chinese are not giving exact location and details of where this enormous project is going to be. So in that sense, the lack of transparency and lack of trust. Both China and India are enormously water scarce societies where both population and consuming power and purchasing power is rising enormously, and therefore water will be an important resource which is in scarcity now. So instead of managing the water tank of planet Earth, which is Tibet, carefully for mutual benefit, here it seems to be that neither side is willing to share. China is not sharing information with us. You would also remember, that in Toklam crisis, Chinese had stopped sharing the data, the hydrodynamic data which they have already agreed to supply to India on seasonal basis. During those tensions in Doklam in 2017, Chinese used that occasion and were not supplying the data on time. So India was blind as far as if flood is going to come there. So because of lack of trust, because of this problem with China and the tensions on the border, the fear, I think, becomes far more, formidable. And therefore, I would not say that, representatives in Arunachal Pradesh are, of course, going to be disturbed with these developments, but it's a development which has a larger regional implications. And I think, therefore, India has to take, for example, Bangladesh, but also other nations. Mekong has also been partially destroyed by the Chinese, so we have to take the Southeast Asian nations also with us to treat this as a regional issue and not just an issue for India or only for Arunachal Pradesh.
Okay, Professor Swaran Singh there, one of India's leading China experts, Dr. Swaran Singh there saying that this is a far bigger implication than just for Northeast India or Arunachal Pradesh, that it has a regional implication in the sense that it's not just the lower riparian states in India, but the lower riparian region as a whole, whether it is Bangladesh and Bhutan. I think India should work together, taking all these countries and make it a South Asian issue vis-a-vis the Chinese designs. Mr. Ranade, while China's ambitious plan, they are working to a plan, they are working to a design. This issue was first discussed by the Chinese at the Institute of Engineering Physics, which looks after the Chinese nuclear weaponization program. This was started in 1995. They perhaps had some security concerns. Now they have gone ahead with this project. They have got a clearance less than 15 days ago. My question to you, Mr. Ranade, the Chinese also have a missile base in that area, in the Medog area where this dam is more or less located. Do you think that the entire troop mobilization by the Chinese in Ladakh and elsewhere, the decision to give the go-ahead to this mega dam project, do you think all these are issues that are interlinked? Do you think that the Chinese are in no hurry to improve relations with India?
Certainly. The fact that they have announced that they are now going to go ahead with the dam at the Great Bend is timed to coincide with this period of very high tension between India and China. And when China has mobilized its troops, the signal is very clear. The Chinese are telling us that they will go ahead and build the dam without regard to our concerns. And secondly, that we cannot do anything about it. That is the underlying message. About Medog, the tunneling and the construction of a road had started a few years ago. And at that time itself, analysts had pointed to this as indicative of a major step forward in the plans to construct this dam. Don't forget that the plans for the dam have been there for many years. The fact that the office for constructing the dam was brought under the office of the Premier of China gave it a certain standing and ensured that it would continue to work on its scheme, which it has. The only thing they have done now is the timing. They have decided that we can go ahead with it now and construct the dam. But there are two other points I'd like to mention here, Wasabir. One is the size of the dam, which is going to be the largest in the world, and the hydropower element, generation element linked to it indicates or would suggest that there is going to be a big reservoir also built with it, which means the volume of water is going to be quite a lot, and this will cast its own weight or burden on the fragile mountains of the Himalayas. It is something that comes atop an earthquake-prone area, and the same concerns were there during the Three Gorges being built. The concerns are much more now, and it would affect all of us, because if there's an earthquake, it would be a very major earthquake.
Absolutely.
The other point is about this nuclear explosions. If they go ahead and use, no matter whether they're small nuclear explosion to create this infrastructure for the hydro power project, there could be fallout, no matter how small it is, and also radioactivity in the waters. This is another problem that lower riparian countries will have to face.
Mr. Tapir Gao, before going for a break, Mr. Tapir Gao, you have heard the two experts, Mr. Ranade and Professor Swaran Singh. These are among the top voices on issues relating to China, and they have been writing very well informed analysis and articles on the subject. They have been voicing their concern in different platforms. As a public representative, as an MP belonging to the ruling party, Mr. Tapir Gao, is it enough for voices only you, or for that matter Mr. Ninong Iring? Today we have heard your Chief Minister, the Arunachal Chief Minister, also expressing his concern. My question to you, Mr. Tapir Gao, do you think there is a need for a united voice from the Northeast emerging and expressing concern? Yes, we are not saying that New Delhi is not doing anything. We are not saying that. But do you agree that there has to be a voice from the Northeast, so that the policymakers in New Delhi take due note of the concerns and do something much more on this issue?
The expert from New Delhi, two gentlemen have got a vast knowledge on this subject. Earlier also I have made a statement in the parliament during Zero Hour that China is building water bomb. Now at this juncture, situations between China and India, now they are going to construct the largest hydropower projects, dams in the Tsangpo River in China. This is not only for Arunachal concern. It should be the concern of the whole of the country, because they have 4 major dams in tributaries of the Tsangpo River inside China. Today they are going to build a huge dam on the river Tsangpo, which we call Siang and Brahmaputra in India. So this is not only for hydropower projects. One of the experts from Delhi has already clearly mentioned it that there will be a nuclear reactors also, and they are using it, and they have tested in the year 2000 that the Siang River, without any rainfall and without anything, the huge flash flood has been released from China, and huge life and the property has been damaged. So the trial has been done by the China in the year 2000. So I want the countrymen and the entire Northeast, all the Northeast should stand together, and including Bangladesh and Bhutan. If this Siang River, Brahmaputra River is diverted, then the entire region will be a dry region, and it will become environmental impact, flora, fauna, animal, human lives. So it's a concern for the country. So we need to do something.
Need to jointly raise the voice. I'll go for a short break. When I come back, I'll go to Mr. Ninong Iring, Professor Swaran Singh, Mr. Ranade, and once again to Mr. Tapir Gao. Don't go away. We are discussing a very sensitive national security issue that will impact not just Northeast India or the country as a whole, but the whole of Southeast Asia to a great extent, particularly Bangladesh and Bhutan. Don't go away. I'll be right back. Mr. Ninong Iring, I'm coming to you, Professor Swaran Singh, in a minute. Mr. Ninong Iring, you have also advocated the same thing. Mr. Tapir Gao said 4 dams should be built on the Indian side, all the 4 rivers coming into Arunachal Pradesh. My question to you, India apparently already has a plan to construct a 10 gigawatt hydropower project in Arunachal Pradesh, not only to generate power but also to store water to offset impact of Chinese dam flows. 10 gigawatt hydroelectric power India has planned. Now, as you know, as you yourself have said that there are strong anti-dam lobbies in India. So do you think there is a time has come for us to introspect and examine the issue in a much more pragmatic manner without any emotions attached and be practical? What is your suggestion? What are you going to tell this anti-dam lobby in India?
This issue is a very old case because we had planned 3 dams. One was of 2,700 megawatt, the other was of 3,700, other was of 6,000, that is in which would cover the Yingkiong and Tutung areas. Now, during the tenure of Uma Bharati ji, when she was the Water Resources Minister, she had planned that there should be a mega dam and with a storage dam, which was, like you had just mentioned, it was over 10,000 megawatt. But here the people of Tuting, Yingkiong, they had all objected to it because the whole, the Yingkiong town also would be submerged. So that's like you were saying, sentiments are there. It's ancestral land. Everybody had said that the ecology would be completely damaged. It would be affected. So I would prefer, having these 3 dams like the previous, during the tenure of late Dorji Khandu, we would have preferred those kind of dams which would be easily controlled. Of course, China already has these 4 dams. Which is a big nuisance to us. Like I've always raised this issue where the river turns all brackish, they send a silt down, and like the construction of a tunnel into the Xinjiang province. So my take is that we have to have these dams, and I'm sorry we could not construct the dams on time. Now the China has got the upper hand. But we still have time, and I request my people also that we have to have these dams at least to, argue or advocate with the Chinese side that we also have got the dams this side and you cannot divert the rivers to another region. So this is my take. We have to work together.
We have to work together. Now, Professor Swaran Singh, while we are talking about the various impacts that the Chinese dam construction can have, but look at it from the Chinese point of view. Now, this mega dam, this biggest dam that they are planning now, it will have the potential to produce 300 billion kilowatt hour of clean, renewable and zero carbon electricity. This will help China achieve a carbon emission peak by 2030 and carbon neutrality in 2060. So they are working to a plan. They are working to a massive plan. And this has been backed by none other than the highest policy-making body of the Chinese Communist Party, backed by none other than General Secretary and President Xi Jinping.
There is no doubt that Chinese will make a very convincing case as to why such a super dam or a mega hydropower project is justiciable in the name of clean energy. But there are several other ways as well. If you look at India's northeast, other than the fact that there is a certain lobby that you mentioned which is against building mega dams in India, but northeast has successfully also tried what is called mini dams, which are ecologically sensitive and are not disturbing any flora, fauna or livelihoods of people in that sense. So, Chinese have to look at alternatives to clean energy, not just simply go the way they want to build a huge mega project. Chinese are doing many other, sort of cloud seeding experiments. They are also planning to launch an artificial sun, etc., etc. So the many projects that they are doing. Only thing is whether this project is justiciable from all other perspectives. Like, this is a geologically sensitive zone, earthquake sensitive zone. So that is part one. And I think most important here is to share information with countries that are going to be impacted upon and take those countries in confidence, which is not happening, and that generates far more sort of anxiety and anger against Chinese, particularly when you look at the timings of such an announcement in middle of about 8 months of constant tensions on the border. So there's no disengagement happening on the western sector, for example. So in middle of that tension, such an announcement is publicly made by an important official. And therefore, I think there is going to be an increasing pressure on India You mentioned of India's plan to build 10 gigawatt project, hydropower project on Indian side. Now, India may not be as much worried in terms of China holding back the water or creating a drought, because that's not going to happen, because most of the monsoon fed tributaries of Brahmaputra are on this side of the Himalayas. But definitely the sudden release of waters. In fact, in view of the climate change, I understand there is already enormous disruptions in the flooding that happens in Brahmaputra. Your own TV show has done programs on the silt that comes in sometimes very strange colors and then sort of materials. That is part of the problem here. And that is going to pressurize India to also make a similar mega dam if the threat of what the local representative just mentioned, the water bomb. So if there's a sudden release of water of enormous quantities, which would lead to flooding and destruction of not just livelihoods and human lives, but also ecology, environment, and other things, this is also a very important area for so many species of animals and birds and sort of other. So in that sense, that pressure on Government of India to make that bigger dam would increase so that they can then manage some sudden flooding of intentional flooding of the Indian side of the river by the Chinese.
Absolutely.
But those are going to be once in a blue moon issues. The more important issues which are going to face, we are going to face every day, is lack of information, lack of trust. And therefore that kind of anxiety of not knowing or being blind to what may happen in terms of waters being released or not being released, that concern, I think that anxiety is going to be an everyday issue for us, even if this dam could take a couple of decades or 10 years to be built and operationalized. And that, I think, is important for the Chinese to understand. Perhaps apparently they are not willing to understand that, and therefore they are making such announcements in middle of water tensions. And I think the timing is particularly making it sensitive. And therefore I said, India cannot just bilaterally deal with the Chinese, but it has to look at all other stakeholders that are the countries that are going to be impacted.
Work jointly. Perhaps work jointly, taking along the neighboring countries to make a united voice on this issue. Mr. Ranade, you know, the Chinese will now, with this construction of this mega dam, the Chinese will have the capability of shutting off water to India when they want, or release excessive water to create flash floods. They can use it. They have actually already weaponized the water. Water is already a weapon. I mean, because the Chinese are on the upper riparian, they are at a height much more higher reaches than us. I think they have already, I mean, securitized water. They are using water as a weapon. You know, how do we react? Do you think India needs to elevate this issue to a much higher level? Do you think there should be official acknowledgement of this issue, official response to this issue in a much bigger way?
Firstly, your point about weaponizing of water is absolutely correct. We don't have to look very far. We just have to look at how they're dealing with the Mekong River countries like Vietnam, Thailand, Laos, etc. They're not listening to them. They're building dams and they're causing floods or drought in these countries, which are lower riparian countries and whose livelihoods of the people there are dependent on the Mekong. So that is how they are weaponizing water, or they have weaponized water. It also shows their lack of concern for the sensitivities or the economic needs of the lower riparian countries. As far as we are concerned, we have seen this being demonstrated at the time of the Parichu River, when they suddenly released water and there were floods and devastation of the villages down below. And of course, they said that they were not aware. But once we worked out this agreement with them to share data on the flow of the river, they stopped it. I think one of the panelists mentioned, maybe Dr. Swaran, that at the time of the Doklam crisis, they stopped that data coming to us, saying that there was some defect with the instruments. Of course, the same data they provided to Bangladesh at that same time. So that's how they are. As far as China is concerned, whatever agreements we have with them or whatever discussions we have with them will be predicated on some degree of trust. And I'm afraid I don't trust the Chinese at all. And I
Yeah.
think it would be very unwise of anyone really to trust them. Had they been a normal country, had they understood international responsibilities, they would have been transparent about their plans to have the Brahmaputra. They would have discussed it with all the other lower riparian countries and tried to work out something by which everyone's concerns are met. But they didn't do that. And now we are presented with this fait accompli, which will lead to problems. And I think
Yeah.
in course of time, the entire South Asia will be hit because as the temperatures rise in Tibet, don't forget, there's going to be a lot of activity related to this dam. There are already a lot of humans who have come in because the soldiers, the temperatures in Tibet are going to rise. The glaciers are going to recede even faster and shrink, leading to either flash floods or curtailed flow of water down some of our major rivers that come to the Indo-Gangetic plains, including the Indus. So there are going to be a lot of problems here. And I think we need to band together. Firstly, the lower riparian states as far as the Brahmaputra is concerned, and then the lower riparian states per se altogether, and apply pressure on China. Similarly, we need to take this up at international fora as matters of human concern and as the global commons. I think that is the only way. China may not listen, but at least there will be some pressure on it.
Okay, there are specific suggestions from Mr. Ranade, because this is going to impact people, more than 400 million people who live in the Indo-Gangetic plain. Viewers, 400 million or more people live in the Indo-Gangetic plains, and this is going to impact such an extraordinary large population of people, and he says that this should be taken up at the international forum. Mr. Tapir Gao, do you think there is enough awareness on the possible implications of China constructing such a dam and assuming control of either flow of water or to choke the flow of water? Do you think there is enough awareness on our side? And what can the government or the people's representatives, do you think, what should be their role according to you?
See, my previous gentleman has rightly pointed out, because China is not having water sharing policy. We don't have any kind of treaty with the China.
Yeah.
And the China's intention is very clear. They want to show fearsome to the country, India, and they are trying to show that we can damage you, we can stop everything from all natural resource, especially waters. So rightly the gentleman has mentioned that all the country bordering China, Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, and even our country, we are facing the same problem. So we need to take up, the country need to take up this issue with the international forum. If we do not, and if we can't convince the China for sharing our information on the water, and if we do not come into understandings between the two countries, then the right forum is we need to go to the international forum.
Okay, Mr. Ninong, we have heard, I mean, need to go to the international forum to make our case stronger, present facts, because the Chinese themselves will keep everybody in the dark as to what they are planning to do. But in today's day and age, in the days of satellite surveillance and so on, we also are quite capable. India is also quite capable of extracting information through our own channels. Now, my question to you, Mr. Ninong, do you agree that there should be awareness first within the northeastern region, so that we can place a common demand, or we can build pressure so that we can raise this issue in various national and global forum?
I've always raised this issue during my tenure as a member of parliament. But the concern is, only of Arunachal Pradesh and downstream Assam and then on to Bangladesh. But the other eastern states are not much concerned about the issue of the Brahmaputra or the Siang River. We have issues, especially on the marine life and, the aquatic life, how it has been destroyed. The only option is, I will agree completely with Mr. Ranade that the issue of Mekong, where I have personally visited, where Laos, Cambodia, and this Taiwan and all, how they are controlling this. They cause floods. They they stop the water flow. There's scarcity of water. Here also, if they have this mega dam, they will be diverting this river. I tell you, the government has to be really concerned. If they don't stop it, then it has to be taken in an international level. It has to be taken into a a global level where all countries will have to be stakeholders and plead on behalf of India and especially of Arunachal and Assam. Others, this area is going to become a desert, and once it becomes a desert, once China has its own stand, they don't listen to anybody. Throughout the world, you can see when they have had this coronavirus, when they spread it from Wuhan, the situation, the China won the World War III without firing a single bullet by just using this pandemic. Now here also, once they construct this dam, it will be a disaster for the downstream Arunachal Pradesh, Assam and Bangladesh. So we have to be very careful about this.
Absolutely. Very strong words there. Professor Swaran Singh, you have heard Mr. Ninong Iring he's saying very strong words there that China has already won World War III without firing a single bullet by spreading the coronavirus across the world and crippling the global economy while they emerged from this COVID crisis so quickly. That is intriguing researchers around the world, but that's a different story, but it's linked to some extent. And now, through constructing this very, very big dam, the sheer dimension of the dam, that is causing a serious threat that can have a far bigger impact on several countries at one go. Several countries, India, Bangladesh, Bhutan, and so on. So, your final comments, are you happy with how India is dealing with this issue now? Do you think things needs to be elevated to a certain level? Do you think there should be a narrative, the so-called national media, I don't use the word national media, I call them metropolitan media in the country, nobody raises these issues. Nobody is talking about this today. Swaran Singh.
I think that is why it is important to underline the fact that, of course, people in Arunachal Pradesh and the larger region of Northeast may be the first to get impacted, but it's an issue that has to be understood in terms of national security threat.
Yes.
And it's a threat which India has to wake up to and look at it as holistic approach that China has towards India, and not just what is happening in terms of the tensions on the border in Ladakh, but in middle of that, this whole new announcement of a plan of 3 times bigger super dam than Three Gorges Dam to be built on Brahmaputra River, on Tsangpo River on the Chinese side. And therefore, as researchers you mentioned around the world have been saying that other than oil and gold, it is water which is going to be the most precious resource and also cause of wars in coming times. It is important that water-scarce countries like China and India work together rather than work against each other. And in that sense, this whole fear of China trying to manipulate and not providing information is something that should be seen as a concern at the national level, not just at the regional level. And therefore, I think it's important to understand that this is something which could have long-term implications in dwarfing India's potential for development. Not just national security in the sense of physical security, but also development initiatives of India would get impacted, because India today is about 17% of population on the planet with just 4% of freshwater resources. So it's going to be an enormous challenge for India, particularly since Chinese are also increasingly becoming water scarce. They are trying to manipulate this resource unilaterally without consulting the largest neighbor on the south of them. And, water sharing is something which has to be understood in a larger perspective and long-term perspective.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm running short of time. My final comments to you, Mr. Ranade. The narrative somehow is missing. As far as if we at least look at the media, the so-called national media, which, as I said, I call them only metropolitan press or metropolitan media, nobody discusses this issue. You know, the firing on along the India-Pakistan border, which has become a regular affair, is big national news. But the threat from the Chinese side, where they are using the potential of a water bombing of large parts of India, nobody talks about this. Nobody perhaps realizes the implications. Mr. Ranade, what do you think? Final comments.
It is unfortunate that the media hasn't woken up. This is a very serious issue. We've all just discussed the potential impacts of this. Apart from diversion of the Brahmaputra, the possible potential for an earthquake, usage of nuclear explosives and what fallout that can have, the Brahmaputra water being taken out itself, the impact on our northeast, on Arunachal. So I think these are issues that people need to wake up to, but they will not until something happens immediately. These are long-term issues. And I think we need to be awake to the fact that danger is not something that is there just around the corner. It can be looming up and building up. And I think this is the kind of situation we are in right now. It's a very major step that China has taken, and it portends ill for us.
Absolutely, it's a very major development as far as the Chinese, a major decisive decision by the Chinese, but it can have far-reaching consequences on India and of course neighboring Bangladesh and Bhutan, and therefore the nation needs to respond, and we are sure the nation is going to respond. We have no doubt about the fact that India is going to come up with a proper response to this. But at the same time, what we have discussed today is that need for India to take along the neighboring countries in this, to deal with this issue, to deal with the Chinese in the absence of a water treaty with the Chinese, in the absence of the Chinese sharing adequate information, and of course considering the implications, we need to raise the voice. And as the representatives from Arunachal Pradesh, the senior leaders, they are saying that there is need to internationalize the issue, as also our panelists from New Delhi, very, very seasoned voices from New Delhi, saying that then India needs to internationalize this issue sooner than later so that we can thwart the Chinese designs or at least contain them. On that note, I thank all my panelists for participating in the program and the viewers for watching the show. Good night and goodbye.